Hey guys, it's Costa Capitanasis at Costa 10-Minute Oil Change. I'm here at the Hanover store. We're going to do a quick video on what is a canister. I really wanted to do this video because there's a lot of confusion in the consumer market about the canister oil filters, the pricing, why do I have to pay for it on my oil change, things like that. So I have a few of the different canister oil filters in front of me. I'm going to talk about their components a little bit. Now, if you've already watched my video on the spin-on filter, you'll know that 90% of cars that are on the road right now comprise of oil filters that are inside the aluminum housing, and this is what's referred to in our industry as a spin-on oil filter. On the other hand, there are other filters that are becoming more and more popular that are called canister oil filters, and they're basically the exposed media with sometimes an end cap, and we'll get into the different details on that in a second. So the three I have right here are actually perfect because they're three completely separate ones. The piece that I have right here in the middle is the center tube. Now this came off a BMW that had a canister filter that had no center tube. Now a canister filter that has no center tube would be like this one. This one has its end caps, but if you look at the inside of the filter, you can see that there's no center tube. So on cars that take a canister filter that have no center tube, you need to see if the sheath is provided as part of the oil filter housing or if it's a separate piece. Now, a common mistake, and this is why canister filters require much training for oil change shops, is if the oil filter sheath or center tube is detachable, you have to make sure when you pull the filter out of the vehicle that it's not still a part of the filter. And then when you throw it out and put the new filter back in and there's no center tube, then the oil pressure will be off in your vehicle. The oil filter can collapse and it can cause engine failure. Now, oftentimes the canister filter will have the center tube already built inside of it. And then other times, the entire filter, the end cap and the center tube will be all one part. Now, in this particular filter, it's all together, and it has a little end with a gasket on it to help it sit snugly inside the oil filter housing, as opposed to being slid on top of the center tube. Now, these canister filters are not new. Although sometimes erroneously shops will say, oh, these are only on the newer cars, only newer cars have these. I actually have this box right here, and even though it's still in the box, this canister filter right here, which is just a regular pleated canister filter with the two end caps and a gasket, and it's got an aluminum end caps, and the center tube is actually built into it. This goes to a 1980s Acura Legend. So 1980 to like 1987 is when they had the Legend. And then they also had Acura Sterling, which I've never seen one of those. But if one ever were to come in, we are prepared here. This filter is obviously not in a newer car. But one of the reasons the move back to the cartridge filters, because these have been around for a while, is in the 80s, the Mercedes and the BMWs and the Volkswagens and the Volvos, they've really used the canister filters a lot. And the canister filters allowed them to build these filters without having to buy the aluminum. Now in the 80s, the price of aluminum and steel and all precious metals was through the roof. due to political reasons at the time. Now, when you have a filter that doesn't have this extra resource built into it, you can build it for less expensive. And a lot of these filters now have plastic end caps, and that detracts from the cost of the filters. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, if these are cheaper to make, how come when I go to an oil change shop or an automotive shop, they always charge me for my canister filter? Well, when 90% of the cars that come through our shop take one of these filters, we buy them in such large quantities that we give really good pricing on them. And because the pricing is so good that we don't pass that cost on to the consumer. At least we don't here at Cost of 10-Minute Oil Change. We have the filter as part of the service. However, when 1 in every 10 cars, 1 in every 12 cars has a canister filter, we only keep 2 or 3 of these on the shelf at any given time per vehicle, and you're talking dozens of vehicles and years of makes and models. We have to recoup that cost because this filter might cost anywhere from $5 to $15. Now, that the markup will depend on the different shops, but usually we sell our filters at cost, or whatever the Walmart cost is usually our barometer for pricing, because we want to stay right there in the Walmart range what they're selling their filters for. Now, a lot of these newer canister filters are being built into cars that take full synthetic oil, and most of them now are built with a carbon fiber pleating that is good for 15,000 miles. So one of the few positive aspects of the canister filter is they are good for more miles than the standard spin-on filter. Now, on Filter Fridays, we crack open a few of these, we take a look at them. Maybe once in a while I'll bring in a canister filter to take a look at how they fare after a regular 5,000 mile interval, and we can hold them up next to each other and see how they look back to back. But for now, I just want to continue to talk about these canister filters. The other aspect of this was pressure in the government in California to make the recycling of oil filters a little easier and better on the environment, which led to an increase in canister filters being adapted on car models. So there's a multitude of reasons that they switched to the canister filters. Performance is one of them, environment is one of them, and cost is one of them as well. So between those 3 reasons, a lot of the newer vehicles nowadays do require canister filters. And it's one of the biggest things that we get here at the stores. Why are you charging me for my oil filter? I've never been charged for my oil filter before. And unfortunately, it's just the cost of doing business and the changing environment of our industry is these particular filters are becoming more and more common, and as they go from being 10% of the filters on the road to say 30%, those costs should come down. When you're in that little middle area where it's not enough where you're buying them so much that you're saving money, but that's going to be the tough period. There's probably going to be like a 10-year period, and who knows, the combustion engine might be completely outlawed by the time that these are the 50 to 60% of the cars on the road. But for right now, we try our best to be reasonable with the cost. We don't mark up if it doesn't cost us that much. We're not going to mark it up 3-4 times like some of the other shops do. We're not trying to get you at every angle. We just want to get you in and out and on your day. So these canister filters are here to stay. They're going to be around. They're going to be very popular. It's just going to have to become part of the conversation that stores have with their customers. And for right now, I think we do a good job of having that conversation. If you have any questions about the canister filter, the parts of the canister filter, what different types of canister filters there are, what is right for your car, give me an email, costaoils.com. That's Costa Oils with an S on the end, .com. And just feel free to subscribe to the channel, check out the videos. We got Filter Friday coming up. #Filter Friday, where we cut open 3 filters that are the same filter for year, make, and model, and we take a look at the inside of them and see how they fare. All right. If you guys like the videos that I'm putting out on entrepreneurship, my oil change business, or any of the videos I'm putting out, feel free to subscribe and make sure you hit that bell.